Welcome to this explainer. So imagine standing in front of a monument so unbelievably old that it was already considered ancient history when the Roman Empire was just getting started. We're talking about a structure that has literally stood defiant against wars, massive earthquakes, endless sandstorms, and, well, thousands of years of human history. Today, we're looking at the Great Pyramids of Giza, not as some distant relics of the past, but exactly as they exist right now in the year 2026. We're going to uncover the absolute shocking truth behind who actually built them. And honestly, some of what we explore today is going to completely change how you view human history. Let's dive in. Okay, so first things first, picture the pyramids. You're probably imagining them out in some remote, cinematic, empty desert, right? Well, reality is actually way more fascinating. They border one of the largest cities in Africa. They sit right next to modern highways, bustling shopping centers, and sprawling apartment buildings in Cairo. Imagine your morning commute involving ancient tombs just a stone's throw from a local restaurant. Or a daily traffic jam. It is this wild, stunning collision of the ancient and the modern that you literally cannot find anywhere else on Earth. 110 million. That is the population of modern-day Egypt right now. It's this incredibly vibrant, bustling nation where millions of people commute right past 4,500-year-old monuments like it's totally normal. I mean, for tourists, it's the trip of a lifetime. But for the local kids going to school or families just enjoying their weekend, the pyramids are literally just part of the neighborhood. It's a historical treasure, sure, but it's also an everyday backdrop and a massive driver for the local economy. Now, to truly wrap our heads around the scale of the mystery we're unpacking, we've got to look at the numbers. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built for the pharaoh Khufu, originally stood roughly 146 meters tall. Just try to visualize that towering height for a second. And remember, they pulled this off 4.5 millennia ago without a single crane, steel beam, or computer. It's a staggering achievement in architecture that still leaves modern structural engineers just scratching their heads in absolute awe. And get this, for an astounding 3,800 years, it held the record as the tallest human-made structure on Earth. Just pause and let that sink in. 3,800 years of total architectural dominance. It wasn't until modern history that humanity managed to build anything taller. The sheer longevity of this record, it really tells you everything you need to know about the ambition and the absolute brilliance of the ancient world. The sheer volume of this project is just as wild. The pyramid is made up of approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, and some of these weigh several tons each. And they didn't just pile them up haphazardly either. The sides of the pyramid align almost perfectly with the cardinal directions, true north, south, east, and west. I mean, the mathematical precision required to align 2.3 million massive stones on that scale, that is exactly the kind of thing that fuels so many of the wild theories we hear today. Which brings us perfectly to this question: did aliens build the pyramids? With such mind-boggling stats and that perfect alignment we just talked about, it's no wonder people constantly ask if extraterrestrials had a hand in this. Movies, endless documentaries, viral internet videos, they've all kind of pushed this idea. People look at the immense scale and the flawless math, and they simply can't believe ancient humans pulled it off. They think, there's no way, it's just too advanced. But here's the reality check. Despite decades of intense investigation, ground-penetrating radar, and incredibly meticulous excavation, there is zero archaeological proof of extraterrestrial involvement. Period. Not a single off-world tool, blueprint, or piece of alien tech has ever been found. The actual evidence points squarely in a different direction, one that is way more realistic and, honestly, way more impressive. We also really need to bust this pervasive myth of slave labor. You can totally forget those grim Hollywood movies showing thousands of slaves being whipped to drag stones through the desert. The hard archaeological evidence we have today totally rewrites that narrative. It tells a completely different and frankly much more triumphant story about the actual people who built these wonders. Right near the pyramids, archaeologists have actually unearthed entire workers' villages. This proves that laborers were well cared for. They had proper food, housing, and even medical attention. We're talking bakeries that pumped out huge amounts of bread to feed this massive workforce. They even found evidence of broken bones that were properly set and healed. So these workers had quality medical care and a pretty decent standard of living. Kind of like a huge, well-funded modern construction crew. Plus, they were given honorable burials in nearby cemeteries, which absolutely would not happen for disposable slave labor. So yeah, these weren't nameless, disposable slaves. Ancient writings show they were organized into proud, highly skilled teams with names, like the Friends of Khufu. Think about that for a second. They had team names, local pride, and a super organized labor structure. I mean, think about how hard it is to organize a team at the office today, right? Now imagine doing it on a national scale 4,000 years ago. It was just ordinary Egyptians using extraordinary skill, intensive planning, and deep determination to build a monument for their leader. But that brings us to the core mystery, doesn't it? How exactly did ancient builders move these enormous, multi-ton stones without cranes, hydraulics, or any modern tech? Because even with a willing and well-fed workforce, human muscle alone just seems like it wouldn't be enough to drag millions of tons of rock across the desert and stack it 146 meters into the sky. So how do they pull it off? Well, they didn't rely on magic, they relied on physics. Thousands of workers were organized into specific gangs. They placed these massive stones onto wooden sledges. Ropes were attached and huge teams of men pulled them in unison up carefully constructed ramps. But the real genius, it was in a tiny, easily overlooked detail. The secret weapon was wet sand. I know, it sounds almost too simple to be true, right? But recent experiments have shown that simply wetting the sand right in front of the sledges drastically reduces friction. Pouring just the right amount of water binds the grains together, creating a firm track that effectively cuts the pulling force required right in half. Simple fluid dynamics basically proved that this one little trick made those heavy stones totally manageable for human teams to move. So the real shock here isn't aliens. It's the profound mastery of math, astronomy, and engineering that everyday human beings possessed 4,500 years ago. The Egyptians developed complex calendars, an intricate writing system, and architectural techniques that literally stand the test of time. They understood logistics on a scale that rivals modern megacorporations. The pyramids are just the ultimate physical proof of a highly advanced, deeply intelligent human civilization. High-tech secrets revealed, modern science meets ancient mysteries. So, let's fast forward back to the present day to see how cutting-edge technology is unlocking new secrets. Check this out, the Big Void. It's this massive, completely unknown empty space inside the Great Pyramid that was discovered pretty recently using advanced cosmic ray technology. By tracking subatomic particles called muons as they pass through the stone, scientists actually mapped out a huge hidden chamber right above the Grand Gallery. It's this immense space that has been sealed away in total darkness for thousands of years. Just incredible. The story's far from over, though. Experts are still eagerly debating how the very highest stones were placed and what exactly that big void is actually hiding. Is it a structural relief chamber, a hidden tomb, something else entirely? We also still have uninterpreted ancient texts, and possibly even more uncharted chambers just waiting to be found. The pyramids absolutely refuse to give up all their secrets at once. But at the end of the day, these structures are not magic. They are the ultimate proof of what human cooperation, intelligence, and sheer determination can achieve. We really don't need to invent aliens or supernatural forces to explain the pyramids. The truth that ordinary people organized, innovated, and labored together to create a wonder that would outlast almost everything else humanity has ever built is honestly far more inspiring than any myth out there. With future technologies scanning these ancient monuments every single day, we really have to ask ourselves, what incredible truths are still waiting to be uncovered? As our science advances, so does our ability to look deeper into the past. I mean, we found the big void, but what are we going to find tomorrow? The pyramids have watched humanity grow for 4,500 years, and they are still teaching us today. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning what you think you know.